My video for May the 23rd, 2020 is video number 3463. The title is Living in a Time of Fear Porn Irrationality. I read an interesting letter from a man in Ohio to the church board of which he was a member. He wrote, quote, "This irrationality has led to record-setting unemployment, more infringement on civil liberties than I have seen in my lifetime. ... Dr. Anthony Fauci has publicly stated that he would favor, quote, immunity cards or vaccination cards for Americans to prove they are not infected or by carrying the virus. This sort of step would, in my opinion, open the door to unprecedented government restrictions on freedom of movement, financial activity, and other rights. Against this backdrop, I was disheartened to see that the annual meeting would be masks mandatory for those who wish to meet at the church, and that the Wednesday gathering would have the same restrictions. Masks mandatory is a policy that I feel prolongs the COVID-19 hysteria and paves the way for ever-increasing governmental intrusions I mentioned above." End quote. To me, this disruptive agenda is rightly called fear porn. It is irrational, no matter what the excuses given may be, even the takedown of the deep state. I had one of my interesting flying or floating dreams just before I woke up this morning after only about approximately 4 hours of sleep. And I felt quite elated, actually, getting out of bed, unlike the frustration I was feeling after what happened when I tried to record a video with my friend from New York City yesterday afternoon. And that video was created in haste because, again, I normally create my videos in the early morning. It's not even 3:45 a.m. yet here where I live, just past 20 minutes to, in fact. But this whole fear porn thing inundates all of us and affects every one of us. He talks about the unprecedented restriction of movement and the unemployment and all the other issues that are involved. We've never seen unemployment since the Great Depression, such as there is in the United States now. But this is not a United States only problem. This is a global issue that we are dealing with. And some say, well, they have to do this. It's a smokescreen because they're arresting the deep state criminals. Well, I'm all in favor of arresting the deep state criminals and freeing all the children that have been kept as slaves of one sort or another by the elite establishment for a long time before any of us were even aware of the possibility that this stuff was going on. Because of the internet that they created to spy on us, we have information at our fingertips, those of us that choose to go online and look for it, than we've ever had before. We are being exposed to things in our world and the attitudes of individuals that seem absolutely out of the box insane to most people. And yet, this is what's been going on by the elite establishment and on our planet for a very, 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 very long time. They have been, the rulers have been doing awful things, not just to children, but to all of us. we have been enslaved without chains, as I've said so many times. The mind control that's being used and the manipulation by fear. Fear porn robs us of our ability to think rationally. It robs us of our ability to love one another. It's breaking down uh, more, not breaking down, it's actually erecting more barriers to honest communication and to things that might help us figure out a way to uplift each other and to be uplifted our individual selves. It's total bunk that a virus of any sort can cause the damage that they're trying to cause with this corona 19 epidemic. It's not an epidemic. It's not as bad, even with the fake numbers. It's not as bad as it was the previous 3 years. As I've said, and as others have reported, including medical doctors and scientists that are in the know, there's more whistleblowers uh, that are blowing the whistle and trying to alert us than ever before. Now, the idea of taking down the deep state, and that's the whole reason for it all. I mean, I would like to see more evidence of that, but it's moving much too slowly for my thinking. And I do believe that a lot of it is about getting Trump out of office. Is he draining the swamp? Well, again, it's moving much too slow for me. Uh, but he has to go by the process that has been allowed him by the Constitution, if in fact he's trying to reestablish constitutionality in the United States. And as the United States goes, the whole world will go. We have been the controlling factor in world politics all of my life, and even going back to the 19th century, especially the latter half of the 19th century. And it's not just Fauci, it's Bill Gates, it's the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the whole establishment of rulership that has been imposed on humanity for who knows how long. And again, I keep praying for God to take responsibility for creation. Someone sent me a picture of a giant flying saucer spaceship, whatever you want to call it, and saying this is what the extraterrestrials are sending. Well, if angels are extraterrestrials and they're coming to help us, I'm all in favor of it. But I'm not convinced that all ETs are benevolent. I think that there's a good probability that some of them are malevolent, just as people are malevolent, and especially the elite establishment, they are malevolent. They're control freaks. They want to make visible slaves of us again. And they're doing it with this fear porn. They're doing it with the masks. Masks, again, do not protect us from viruses. It's not about that, folks. It's about control. It's about keeping us enslaved. When are we going to get it? I wish you people would start sharing my videos. What happened? All of a sudden, Zoom went blank on me, in front of me. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this thing up. Thank you for listening, and namaste.